So, welcome to the January 31st edition of the JA Company Program Speaker Series, where tonight our focus is going to be on sales. Our guest this evening is Taylor Venanzi of Active Wealth LLC. So, welcome, Taylor.
Thanks, Hope. Happy to be here.
So, Taylor, tell us a little about yourself. What should we know about you?
Yeah, so I grew up in the local area in South Jersey and Collinsville, New Jersey. I currently reside in Philadelphia and own and operate Activate Wealth. So my company is a financial planning firm for young professionals. So I work typically with clients in their late 20s to 30s and early 40s and help them with their financial goals and proactive financial planning to grow their wealth over time and live a fulfilling life. So that's a little bit about me and the business as it is now.
Okay. What would you say was a key turning point in your career?
I would say when I took the leap into financial planning. So a little bit more about me. I went to Penn State for college and had a couple entry-level jobs that were in the finance space, but not financial planning directly. And about 2 years after I graduated, I got a job at a local planning firm and really opened my eyes to working directly with everyday people, helping them achieve financial goals. And that was very fulfilling to me. I've always gravitated towards the technical aspect of financial planning, but I really liked the people part of it as well. So that was a big turning point. I would look at it as the first turning point. And then when I realized how underserved sort of younger people were in the financial planning space, not getting access to professional services until much later in life. I kind of, that's what started sort of my entrepreneurial journey and starting a firm that was geared towards that demographic.
So how do you find your clients?
That's, I get asked that a lot, and there's a lot of different ways. I know this whole session's supposed to be about sales, but when you ask the question, how do you find clients? I think it's a combination of marketing and sales. So from a marketing standpoint, I guess I would think, how do people find me, right? How do I make it easy for people to find me, know what I do, know how to schedule a call, know that I'm a trusted source as far as financial knowledge goes. And in that context, I am active on some social media platforms. I have a very clear and intuitive website. I've prioritized, making myself available on various find financial advisor portals, probably 4 or 5 different portals where, you search financial planner near me, and I'm one of the people that pops up, or another organization will pop up, and then you can search for advisors based on different needs, and I come up in there, right? So that's a very kind of holistic sort of online approach. And then I think the sales process is very different from that, and that's more about, once they schedule a call and have interest, how do you convince them that they should work with you at that point?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would a typical consultation include? How do you get to the point of helping someone make that decision?
That's a good question. I think the first thing I do with every potential client is just a 15-minute introductory phone call. And that phone call is as much about them as humanly possible. If I'm talking a lot in that meeting, it didn't go well. So I'm asking a lot of questions about, why are they here? Almost, what is it that's going on in your life that you felt the need to schedule a call with a financial planner? Try to really pull out, what are your values? What do you care about? You know, again, why do you think hiring a financial advisor is a good idea for you? And then once I get really clear on what they care about, as much as you can in 5, 10, 15 minutes, I introduce the specific solutions that relate to them. And it's not a elevator pitch or like some canned spiel that I go through. It's how can I help them address those needs through the unique process that my clients all go through.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's very clear.
Mhm.
So you focus on finding solutions for your clients,
Mhm.
but as an entrepreneur, how do you find solutions for yourself? How do you stay motivated?
Do you mean like how do I just stay motivated within my business and
Yes.
continuing to run it? Yeah, I think if you're gonna go down an entrepreneurial path and start your own business, you have to really love what you do. I think you have to over and above the money and the compensation that you can gain from starting a business, which is why a lot of people think they should do it. You need to sort of be in love with the process of building a business, and in my case, just loving working with people and seeing their reactions when we solve problems that have been giving them problems for a long time, and alleviating that pressure and that anxiety around their money, and that's satisfying for me. So from a motivational standpoint, that keeps me going, and just the joy of being able to control my own time and be independent in my thought and how I build and how I build my business.
Now, Taylor, with your business, do you work alone or do you have employees?
Yeah, within Activate Wealth itself, it's just me. I operate it myself, but I think, and this is relevant in sort of a 2022 world and beyond. There's a lot of really, really good solutions that even if you're running your business by yourself, it doesn't have to be by yourself. So I use a lot of third-party partners to integrate solutions or lean on for various things. So just to give sort of some examples, I have relationship with accountants that they help me do tax returns for clients. I have relationship with life insurance people that'll implement life insurance solutions for my clients. I have sort of a like various tech that I use for investment management or for tracking client information and data, and people that help me with compliance stuff and all these different things. So it's very easy to feel big even though your firm is literally just you. So that's how I'm structured.
Oh, very nice. So, with all of the moving parts, how do you manage multiple priorities?
Yeah, so I think really focusing on what's the best way to be productive within each individual day, and um, as far as prioritizing things, and if I look out at a week and kind of scheduling out on this day I'm going to work on all these types of activities, so I try to like bunch like activities like called time blocking, the concept of time blocking. So on say Tuesday morning, I might be doing all client review meeting prep, right? And it's doing like activities, so you're not switching from different tasks all the time. And then maybe Wednesday afternoon, I'm doing all like outbound calls, for example, or something like that. So finding different ways in my routine as well, like what time I go to bed, what time I wake up, what's my exercise routine, what are my eating habits, like all these different things add up to a productive way of running your business, and something that fits into your own personal financial or personal life, not financial life.
Okay, very nice. Now, before you started working as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
you held positions in other companies and you gained experience. Um, just with your background and with your experience, why would you say culture in an organization is important?
I think it's that's a tough one for me because I've been inside of what I viewed as poor cultures and good cultures alike, and still ended up launching my own firm. I don't have coworkers or employees at the moment, but in a more hypothetical world or a future sense of what I'd be looking for and why culture is important is, especially in small business world, or even intermediate business, your people, I feel, have to be very aligned with your company mission, right? In big, huge corporations, people can kind of fall through the cracks and kind of just show up, punch the clock, come in at 9, leave at 5, and don't necessarily have to believe in the company mission. But if it's you and 3 other people, and if one of those people isn't passionate about delivering financial advice to the next generation of investors, that's gonna show through, and um, that's gonna hurt your business, right? And in various different ways. So I think, um, especially in a small business sense, having cohesiveness amongst you and your employees and coworkers is critical. And I think that's everything needs to start there with a passion for the business itself, and the direction that it's going, and then putting the right people in the right seats based on their background and skill set.
Very nice. Now, Taylor, our students are working in this virtual space. We've been in this space for the last 2 years, and it's not going away. So whether they're working as a sole proprietor and they're working with outside partners, or if they're working with a team of individuals with under their own company umbrella, how can they make sure their thoughts and their ideas are heard, especially in this virtual environment?
Yeah. Well, I, for one, have never had an issue with the virtual environment. I launched my firm in a pre-COVID world, and it was intended to be a virtual offering. So I don't really meet any of my clients personally in person at all. Everything I do is virtual, so I'm very accustomed to it. Um, I think you I think there's no like faking it anymore. So what I mean by that, like a lot of when you're not in the office, or when you're in the office, you could be doing things or meeting with people, and it might be look like you're busy or being productive or growing in your career. But when everybody's just home and you're left to your own devices to do your own thing, I think it becomes a lot more of a results driven type of environment. So it's literally like, are you valuable to the company and the work that you do, and are you able to clearly demonstrate that you are proactively helping the business in which you are an employee of, or partner in, or whatever that might be. um, I think the part that's lacking in the virtual environment, especially with larger teams, is just that personal nature. There's no water cooler, there's no lunchroom, there's no any of that. So you have to go out of your way to foster relationships with the people within your company, whether it's your boss or coworker or employee. Go out of your way to talk to them, ask them what they're up to, what their struggles are, what they're doing well, and that kind of thing, and take it on your own. I guess make sure you proactively reach out. Rather, that stuff's not going to just happen naturally like it does in a physical workplace. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking there.
No, that's great. Um, so Taylor, I'd like to redirect it back to you. What do you think are some of the key personal qualities or characteristics that have made you successful?
Yeah, I think, the number one is probably work ethic. I've always had a good work ethic. So, um, early days of, and this is all about, I mean, this is an entrepreneurial sales based call, right? So early days of starting a business, it's not cute, it's not pretty, it's not fun. It's just doing kind of what needs to be done to keep your business alive. So being able to lean on a work ethic. Mine came from sports growing up, and the the work world kind of felt easy after kind of what I did in from like a physical athlete perspective. So I've kind of always had that mentality. Um, and I think separate from that, just a willingness to constantly learn and understand that you don't know everything and you don't have to know everything all the time, but just not being so locked into your opinions, being willing to change your opinion, and really have your own unique thoughts at all times, and being able to mold those thoughts as you get new information and experience new things. I think sort of like that adaptability and open-mindedness along with work ethic for me, like the combination of those two things has helped, because the business that I'm running now is quite different than the business I envisioned when I launched on the first day.
Oh,
um,
wow.
yeah, and it's only here because of the work ethic, and it's changed because of the openness. So
Wondering, did you have any mentors?
yeah, indirect mentors. I had family and friends that were entrepreneurial. Um, I had other firm owners that I built relationship with before I launched my own firm. I've been through mentorship programs that gave me a mentor that was completely unrelated to financial planning and entrepreneurship. I think whether it's a mentor or like peers or people doing, uh, if it's your peers, people doing other things that are similar to what you're trying to do or have been there before, just having people to lean on when you get into certain situations, or um, just getting out of your own head, I think is important. It's not always about like learning something or taking something from your mentor. It's, I'm thinking this, what do you think? And getting an outside perspective. I value that, whether it's mentorship or study groups or anything like that.
Nice. I know in the J Company program, we like to talk about pivoting with our program participants.
Hmm.
Were there ever times in your career where you had to pivot? And what could our students do, or how could you help our students think about or think through pivoting?
Yeah, so it, I think at some point you have to kind of get clear on what you want, as far if we want to just limit, we'll just keep it in the context of like careers, right? Or starting your own business or something like that. You have to, it's hard to make decisions if you don't know where you're going. Initially, for example, like you might graduate college and just get a job or something, and that's fine. Like get some experience, get yourself embedded in the workplace. But then at some point, you have to have some sort of North Star, some sort of direction. And I think that enables you to pivot. So at, at a certain point, I decided that I want to be a financial planner. And then my decisions, I was able to pivot and make different decisions. So, for example, I was pursuing a financial analyst designation and just totally stopped halfway through to focus on a financial planning designation, right? Because I knew that's the direction that I wanted to go. And then once I was a financial planner, I was like, I want to own my own business. And then you're like, okay, that's now my North Star. I want to own my business. I can serve this type of clientele. What are the decisions that I have to make that always will take one step towards that direction, right? I think it's hard to pivot if you don't know where you're going. So I would think about that.
Very nice. Very nice. I think this would be a great time to open this up to our students to see if anyone has questions.
Yeah, I'm Arhan. I'm a sophomore, and I just was wondering, like, how do you deal with clients who are kind of resistant, like not resistant, but who don't want your services or who aren't interested in what you're doing? Like, do you just like ease up, or do you just try to keep pushing for them to join, for them to, or do you just keep pitching to them, or what do you like do?
Yeah, it's a good question. So in my business, I'm just as much interviewing them as they're interviewing me in the initial process. I'm very crystal clear on the types of people that I want to work with, both, demographically, like there's some certain indicators that this could make a good client for me. And then just personality traits that I resonate with or gravitate towards. And if they are very clearly aligned with those things and are hesitant, then I will pursue them or be more persistent in follow up or trying to show them that when I truly believe that they're just not quite understanding the value that they can get. But on the other side, I think speed matters, and getting as quickly to a no is just as valuable as getting as quickly to a yes. So if this isn't going to be a good fit, don't waste your time just in the name of trying to generate business, right? And that'll depend on the type of business you're in. Like if you're selling t-shirts, I guess everybody needs a t-shirt. You can try to sell everybody. But in my business, I get on prospect calls and I'm just as likely to tell them that they're not going to be a good fit as they're just as likely to tell me that they don't want the service, right? But I would say, to answer your question, if you really feel like they would find value and they're just not understanding, I would lean into it a little bit. But if they're just not a good fit, just move on and just keep pushing forward and just like learn from those no's.
Okay. Arhan, thank you for that thought-provoking question. And Taylor, thank you for the answer. So Taylor, I want to know, what is one thing you like most about your job?
I've already touched on just the enjoyment I have of working directly with people to help them solve real world problems. It's very satisfying. But I would say, on a more selfish perspective, being able to 100% customize my lifestyle because I run my own business has been very enjoyable. I get to create my own schedule, which for some people is completely overwhelming. I personally like it. I get to decide when I meet with clients, how often I meet with clients, when I'm available to talk with prospects, when I'm going to work on marketing, when I'm going to go on a vacation. I can work for an hour today and 10 hours tomorrow, depending on how I'm feeling and how I want to structure it. I really enjoy that autonomy. And that's, I think, one of the things that a lot of people gravitate towards is the ability to make a lot of money and the ability to create your own schedule. But I think you can get, if you're not intentional, you can get the whole scheduling thing can get really out of hand real quick. So you might not have as much control over your time as you planned on if you're not intentional about how you spend it.
Okay. And I have one last question for you.
Right.
So what is one thing you wish someone had told you about work when you were younger?
Just work in general or more?
It could be work in general.
Okay.
And then if you'd like to drill down, you can.
Yeah, yeah. I would say don't be scared to move on quickly. I think there's a lot of narrative around like put your time in certain things. Like if you're like jumping careers, for example, is a bad idea. And I think it is if you're just like chasing money, for example. But if you get into an organization and you don't like the company, you don't like what they do, you don't like the people, there's a lot of jobs out there. And when you're 22, 20, 25, you have a lot of runway in front of you. Like it's okay to take steps backwards. It's okay to take a drop in income. I mean, as long as you can pay your bills, right? Like just figure out a career direction that you're going to enjoy. And don't get so hung up on the politics of it and worrying about what people think or what your resume is going to look like. if you're doing things for the right reasons. So that helped me big time. That's sort of like how I ended up starting my own business, was just kind of not, once I wasn't aligned with something anymore, and then I realized, oh wait, maybe I just have to create my own thing because I'm too picky about company missions. So
Okay, well, thank you, Taylor. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
yeah, absolutely. This was fun, and if any of the attendees have direct questions for me as they kind of go through this, feel free to send them over to me. I'm happy to answer anything if it comes up later.
Okay. Well, thank you, and you have a good evening.
All right. Thanks, Hope. Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening, everybody.